Let's talk about the deep stuff. I'm your host, Sean Neese, and on this show, we have off the cuff and candid conversations about the big topics in the world. Today, we are joined by Tumba, a passionate poet and activist who is deeply involved in raising awareness and funds for children affected by the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Through her powerful journey, Tumba shed light. Through her powerful poetry, Tumba sheds light on the heartbreaking realities faced by innocent civilians, especially children, amidst ongoing violence and displacement. Her dedication to Voices for Congo fundraiser campaign exemplifies her commitment to making a difference. So, one of my goals for this show is to talk to people from both internationally and nationally who are connected to important issues. And I believe that having conversations with people who've lived very different lives from my own helps me and hopefully our listeners understand other perspectives and broaden our horizons. The situation in the Congo is dire, with countless lives lost and families torn apart. It's crucial to draw attention to this suffering so that we can learn what we can do to help and make a positive impact. The stories from the Congo are not just news, they are urgent calls for humanity and action. So, welcome, Tumba. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Oh, no problem. And so, I guess share with us a little bit like who you are, and I know you have family in the Congo. I don't know if are you currently in the Congo or you've that's I wasn't sure about.
Okay, that's no worries. I get that question a lot. So as of right now, I am currently not in the Congo. I am in I am currently in Canada, so not in the Congo as of now. And a little bit about myself. I am I love to say that I am your typical Congolese, someone who had experience with war and who had experience with living in the camps, suffering, starvation, and someone who had to fight, to be able to leave the country. That's
Mhm.
the typical story that you will hear from most Congolese is that we had to leave to find safety or we had to leave to find a future. And my family ended up being among the number of families that have left Congo to find a brighter future and greener pasture. And I also have to say that I write poetry pretty much about my experience in Congo and also the experience of others that are still there. That's my that's the best way that I can contribute and raise awareness to what's currently happening in my country. Because we soon realize that we can't all leave Congo, and when we leave, we can't just forget Congo. We have to remember the
Yeah.
people, the families. Like I still have family in Congo, a lot of them. We still have to remember those families because not everybody can leave, and the path to leave Congo is very difficult. A lot of people die on the way. It is
Mm.
a tough journey, and when you're lucky to make it out alive, it's always good to look back and share about your experience and also the experience of those who are still there. So that's what I believe I am doing through poetry.
All right. And so, what inspired you to start participating in the Voices for Congo fundraiser and to use poetry as a tool for advocacy?
That's a great question. What inspired me? I think the answer will be what frustrated me. Because what frustrated me is the current situation in Congo. And for so long, I was just so mad. And I didn't used to talk a lot about Congo because I was so ashamed that I came from this place that has never been good. Because when we look at it, my great grandparents went through conflict, a war. My
Mm.
grandparents, my parents, my mother fled a war. And it's just my generation when my family was like, enough is enough, we're leaving. Right? So coming from that place, and coming to a place like Canada where you meet other people who are like, oh, when I was younger, my parents took me to Disneyland, and you're thinking, when I was younger, my parents fled the
Mm.
country. It's like that really frustrated me for so many years, and I developed like deep hatred for my own country, and I just didn't want to be associated with it. And I feel like it's through that hatred that I had for my country there was a point where I was like, okay, I can't keep carrying this around. I have to speak up for my country. What can I do for the country to change? Because I can hate it so much, but it's not going to change. I can get mad all the time. It's not going to do anything. So I started studying people like Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba, Congo's first freedom fighter. And it was through that I was like, okay, because of Lumumba, we have our independency. And it's because I guess he
So
risked
that's
his
where you
life.
took. That's your poet name is taken from. That's who your poet name is taken from. You mean, or is that what you're saying?
My sorry.
You said you took. You said you used the name Tumba or used from some someone. You said from someone historically, right? That's what you
Oh no no
said.
no,
If I heard
that's
you right.
Patrice Lumumba.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, but it was through his story that inspired me, and I thought, okay, you know what, I need to stand up for my country, and the best way I knew how was through poetry because that's the only thing that I have control over, and that's the best way that I can talk about my country without getting too emotional, frustrated, and just all over the place. Yes.
Yeah, and I guess so. You wanted to, I guess, help people put yourself in your shoes, that people have lived in the Congo's shoes, because, like, I guess from what you said, it sounded like it was hard to relate because there wasn't the same shared experience. Because, like you were saying, that people mentioned, like, oh, my parents took me to Disneyland and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't the same shared experience. That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and another factor is that because a lot of people still don't know Congo, a lot of people don't even know Congo exists as a country. Most people think,
Okay.
most people while over here on this side think that Africa is a country. So when you tell them I'm from Congo, they're like, "Where's Congo?" I'm like, "In Africa." They're like, is that a city? Is it a village? Like, no, it's a country. And because a lot of people don't know, it's so hard for them to understand your struggle and relate with it. So yeah, poetry has been a great way to put the name out there, the name Congo. I try my best to mention it in every single poem so that people know that no, this is a country, this place exists, and this is what's happening. So that when people want to advocate or raise awareness, they can refer to the country, not just say, oh, they are starving African children. In what country? There's so many countries in Africa.
And how do you channel, like, these emotions you have into the creative process? Like, what's your process for it?
Ah, usually, usually when I do the poetry writing, the first draft is always the hardest one because I'm like crying,
Hmm.
sobbing, and then I go over it again like an hour or two after, and then I'm like, okay, if I perform this, I can't even get the words out. So I need to change these words. I need to replace. And other times I listen to other people's stories and I'm like, okay, I need to write this, tell it the best way. So I try my best to use me as like the verso. Sometimes I don't like mentioning certain topics, but I have to because if I'm the voice that people are currently listening to, at least on like my Instagram and this Voices for Congo campaign, then I have to tell it the way that it's supposed to be told. I can't really put my own mental health or emotional health ahead of that. I have to talk about these hard topics. So usually I just put everything into it. Every little emotion, anger. Sometimes, if you listen to the video, sometimes I get mad. Sometimes I get sad. Sometimes I'm frustrated. It's like you can tell with my voice, my tone. Yes.
So is there, what would you say is like a specific, like, are there any pieces in particular, I guess, that have that, like, mean something to you specifically, that have stood out, I guess, for you?
um, well, I have multiple that have stood out to me, but We Are the Children of East Congo is one that still to this day I still think about it because I did perform it like a couple days ago, but it's still almost like haunts me. It's like my drive for it because in that poem I talk about how the children give up their lives so that the rest of the world can get started on the Green World project. The rest of the world can get smartphones. The rest of the world can enjoy all this high-end tech while the children in Congo are in the mines, access to nothing. They're starving, they're fleeing, they're dying. but the rest of the world on the other side, it's like they have this green world that they're working towards. So yeah, it's like
Mhm.
that's one poem that still to this day I think about it. I'm just like, wow.
So it's about like you want a better future for them, and like you're talking about, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because yes, that's right. That's a really good observation. Yes, a better future for them because a lot of children in Congo are under the age of 15. So majority of us have parents that have died in the war. Like I have a friend of mine, both parents dead, gone, were
Oh well.
killed like in the war in the East. So most of us are pretty young. Most of us, like the oldest you will see will be like some of them will be like 25 and under. Most of them will be like 21 and under, but 15 is the majority, the large majority, because most of us don't even get to make it to the age of 20. So yeah, like children, the children's stories, when we can write something about giving them a future or talking about how they don't have a future is always something to me that is just like so near and dear because I was once that child and I didn't know that I'll have a future. It's a miracle that I'm even here. It's a miracle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what could you tell us about the situation currently there? Like what's currently happening there, and I guess a little bit of the maybe the history that led to it.
Yes. Okay. So what's currently happening in Congo? I like to put it in simple words as fight for power, control, greed, and ego. It's a lot of, first of all, power, because whoever controls Congo controls, first of all, Africa. Whoever controls Congo controls also the wealth, because Congo is so rich in minerals. It may be poor in other areas, but Congo is so rich in minerals, like very, very rich. So whoever can take control of Congo basically controls the wealth, right? So that's why there's a lot of fighting, and it's been happening since, well, let's go back to like 1996, the first Congo War, and then we go back to like 97, 98, and all the years after that. The fight has always been for minerals. No one remembers the human life. A lot of lives are destroyed. Everyone is thinking of, I want to control the minerals. I want to control the land. Because East Congo, that's where a lot of the minerals are. Cobalt is the biggest one. Tesla needs cobalt. Even the iPhones that we use, all of them need it. So if you if you can control Congo, let's say you own Tesla and you can control Congo, then that means that you have a lot of profit. You can make more of those cars. You can make even better cars because you have access to this mineral. But if you're like Apple and you control Congo, then you can have more iPhones, all sorts of devices. So it's technically a fight for minerals. It's a lot of greedy companies, greedy politicians, greedy countries, because a lot of countries are involved in this fight and it's so deep and a lot of greedy individuals, but the children and the women and the men, just the average person like you and I, are the victim of it every single day. They get chased out of their homes, they run into these camps, and then once they discover minerals in that camp, they come and chase them out again. Like Congo is so rich in minerals that sometimes you can actually just dig down the ground and actually just pick up a rock that is actually valuable, a valuable rock. It's everywhere, and the rest of the world has discovered that. I mean, if we want to like get technical, then we'll have to go to like 1885. King Leopold II of Belgium, like he also took advantage of the minerals as well, exploited as much, mistreated the people. It's all about the minerals. From the beginning, Congo has always been about the minerals. Once the world discovered Congo and the minerals, and the world said, you know what, we can make so much money off of this, it was over for the Congolese. Our lives hasn't been considered into through all this. It has just been the money, the money, the money. What can we do? How much gold can we take? How much cobalt can we take? It's just all about the minerals. So for me, the fight in Congo is human lives versus greed, ego, and power and control. That's basically what's happening in simple words.
So you're saying that like there's corporations that kind of profit off the resources in the Congo, and
Yeah.
that's kind of is that and that connects to the violence
Yes. Yeah.
there. So
That's the large part of it. Yeah. No one is really fighting Congo just for the sake of fighting. It's just all about the minerals. If Congo didn't have the minerals, then Congo will
hmm.
be just like any other country without minerals. At least less violence, but they'll still experience starvation and poverty and all sorts of stuff. But the fighting, all the displacement, the genocide that's currently going on, the crisis, everything is all about the minerals. It because usually Congo is so big, Congo is so large, so the part of Congo that has been for the last 26 plus years, almost 30 now, is the East Congo, right? The East Congo, that's where most of the minerals are, even though the other parts of Congo has minerals, but East Congo has the majority of the minerals. So people in the East haven't known peace for so, so, so long. But people, let's say in Kinshasa, the capital city, they don't experience these struggles because the capital city Kinshasa doesn't have as much minerals as the East, but the East has so much, and there's just a lot to benefit from there. That's why people in the East experience the worst of the worst. It's all for the minerals. I'm pretty sure once they discover minerals in Kinshasa, that's it. It's over for them. They'll go. They'll be next. Yeah.
And Rwanda, I think I read that they're kind of connected to
Oh.
everything. How would you explain like how they're involved? Like they're funding they're behind like the one group that's doing the genocide you mentioned, or I mean,
Yes.
if you could just like explain the situation, yeah.
So when it comes to the genocide, it's multiple armed groups, but the most famous one is the M23. And well, according to a UN report that was released, it states that Rwanda funds M23, gives them the weapon and the resources so that they can be able to attack the people in the east. Rwanda has denied the allegations. He has denied for so long. I mean, they still deny it. Even the recent
Hmm.
interview they did, they still denied it, and they basically stated like, if you guys continue, we'll have to go to war with the DRC. We're ready to go to war. So I'm just hoping it doesn't get to that point. But yeah, for so long, the M23, what the UN confirmed that it was founded by Rwanda, but Rwanda says no. And then Rwanda as well is founded by the US, but the US is also denying it. So it's a lot of countries involved, but no one wants to take responsibility because if somebody takes responsibility, they will be charged with crime against humanity because the things that has been done to the Congolese people, it's very inhuman. And yeah, so whoever would take responsibility, I'm sure they'll be charged with crimes against humanity because somebody has to be charged. It's been a long time and people are still dying to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's and there can't be like there needs to be like accountability for like the people in power and everything. Just they want the resources and all that too.
Yeah,
Like human lives have to be more important than resources and
that's
just
right.
making a profit and everything. Yeah. But what efforts is Voices for Congo making for the organization you're with?
Oh yeah, so right now I'm only working with Focus for Congo. It's a grassroots company that is at the front line in East Congo. So they basically what they do is they take care of the people who are displaced, provide them food, shelter, water, medical aid, try to teach them skills, help them start gardens, projects, small projects like owning a shop. That's basically what Focus Congo does. And they do so much other things like giving them clothes and shoes. Yeah, so that's basically the only organization in Congo that I'm currently working with. And yeah, I'm hoping in the future maybe we'll get more into like contact with other organizations. But when it comes to Congo again, it's a lot of greed plays a lot of role in it. So it can not every organization that is in Congo is actually for the Congolese. Some organizations are just there to will it be like um to spy or watch? It's almost like they're there as a way for other international countries and politicians to get access to the people. So yeah, like having a Congolese based organization like Focus Congo, someone that actually experienced child soldier, someone that actually experienced the war. A lot of the people in Focus Congo, it's like some have parents, both parents that were killed or parents that was killed. Most of them either experienced the war one way or another. So they all came together, like Papi, the founder, came together, organized Focus Congo as a way to like tell the Congolese story and help the Congolese people directly from the Congolese people. Because for so long it was just like the UN helping. and other international organizations. And but many of the stories that came out were just, most of us were just like, yeah, what people see online, it's really not what's happening. Some of these organizations were taking advantage of the kids. Some of them were just there to take photos and pretend like they're helping just for the donations, right? So, yeah, I feel like what Congolese people are now doing is they're starting their own organizations, and we're doing this while also recording everything, like the food that is being distributed, the clothes, everything, telling the human story from the Congolese people so that the rest of the world is informed and also like updated. Yeah.
And you still have relatives there,
Yes.
or do you have it? And are those some of the people like you're trying to help is like your own relatives too, right?
Yes. So as of now, my family, um, as of now, my family does not, my family in Congo, none of them live in the East. Yeah, none of them live in the East. Most of them have moved to like Lubumbashi and other places, Kinshasa, the capital, the places that are currently not going through that. But most of us are from Kasai. So as of now, Kasai is not going through anything like that. But Kasai did experience a lot of it as well. But as of now, most of my family members are safe from the M23 and all the other stuff that's going on in the East. Yeah, but I have a lot of family back in Congo. I mean, I still have my father, my siblings, there's so many people, my uncles, my
Oh.
cousins, young people, older people. There's so many of them. Yeah.
Hmm. So how does that? I guess that must be a lot to like every day. You must be like worried.
Oh,
I guess.
yes, definitely. I mean, with the presidents of Rwanda saying that they might go to war with Congo, no, it breaks our hearts, and it also puts a lot of fear in us because we're like, we have family there. We don't want anything because we already receive, every time we open WhatsApp, we receive photos from these family members, photos of beheaded babies, photos of
Oh
people
wow.
tied to trucks. So it's the trauma that we, like, even though you may be away from it, it's like you're still living through it. You're still
Hmm.
experiencing everything. It's like, hey, we don't have water, something happened, or we don't have food. It's like all these things, like they still catch up with you even if you're in Canada or the US. So yeah, because we have so many family there, it's like every time we have to think about, okay, Congo, what's happening, what action is being taken, the fights in the east, is it moving towards Lubumbashi, is it moving towards Kinshasa, is it moving towards Kasai, is it moving towards all these other places? Because today is the east, but tomorrow it's going to be Kasai, it's going to be Lubumbashi, it's going to be
Hmm.
Kinshasa if nothing is done. Because Congo has minerals everywhere, and even in Kasai, it's like people just dig the ground just to pick them up, all sorts of minerals. So once somebody comes up with a business idea and just say, maybe I can use the mineral in Congo for this and that, it's like, that's it. There goes my family. There goes
Hmm.
millions of families. Yeah.
Hmm. So that's all that they don't care like who they hurt in the
No, not at
process.
all. Definitely not. Yeah. Because if they did, then they would have stopped. But no, most of us were born into war, grew up in war. Now we're having kids. And these
Hmm.
kids now have to experience this war, or they have to hear about it. So the war never ends. It's like my mother went through it. My grandmother went through it. My great grandmother went through it. So it's a generation, like it's a lot of generations that has already gone through it. And if nothing is, no action is taken, then I fear that my grandchildren have to go through it. My great grandchildren have to go through it. And that's not the way, because the trauma he has created in the entire Congo is just, it's not good. A lot of people are just surviving. People are not living. Like, it's almost like walking dead, I like to say. Alive from the outside, but dead from the inside. People are just surviving. No life at all. That's just what has
Hmm.
become of Congo, the Congolese people.
And how do you, I guess, balance like focusing on like your day to day in Canada and then knowing what's happening with your family there? Like, how does it? What's it like? Like, I guess balancing that like in your mind. I guess.
Yeah, as of now, I don't really have a balance because there's no, I like to say there's no censorship on what my family sends me. So I can just tell them, hey, maybe I don't want to see this. Or maybe usually when I see a message from them, I'm like, am I in the mental state to open this? Because sometimes you may open it and it's just a dead body. It's like you've been
Hmm.
exposed to so many of them that sometimes I hate to say, like, it doesn't even move you. It just make you now mad. It's like it's almost like
Hmm.
loss of emotions. Now you're just angry, angry at everyone that's involved in it. So yeah, like the way I try to keep a balance is, oh, right now it hasn't been good, especially in the 30 days, because every day I have to get exposed. Every day I have to talk to the people in the camps. Every day I have to join these live videos. I have to listen to their stories because if I'm going to tell them the stories, then I have to basically put myself in their shoes. It's as if I'm going through it in that moment as well. So the 30 days, there has been no balance. But before that, like my life before like the 30 days campaign, yeah, there was a lot of balance because I was focusing on like mostly on other things, right? I was in school, hanging out with friends, doing other things that can distract me. So it wasn't like every day I was for 12 hours or 15 hours a day. I was just like, oh, Congo, Congo, let me learn, let me research, let me watch a video, let me talk to the people, let me hear the survivor stories.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I hope I hope after this I will find a balance because it is exhausting mentally and yeah, it takes a lot on you, yeah, being exposed to that every single day.
And I guess it's sometimes hard. I guess maybe like if you have friends in Canada that haven't gone through the same thing, like for them to like relate, or if, like if you talk about it, or like to find someone who can relate to that. I guess or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, and sadly, well, not sadly, I'm glad, but most of my friends have similar stories too. So it's almost like, wow, are we normal? Because usually when you have friends that were born here, they're like, oh, my parents did this when I was younger. They don't have stories like that. But and then you look at like some of my friends, it's like, oh, I'm dealing with this trauma. I feel like maybe I want to take my life. And it's like, why? It's like, oh my, I just keep thinking about seeing my mother's head being cut off. Like most of them have
Hmm.
stories like that. It's like people tell you these stories and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm not even a therapist,
Hmm.
and most of us haven't gone to therapy yet. So we have a lot of unhealed trauma. So when you have friends that have the same trauma and you have your own trauma, it's like you guys trauma dump. It just makes it worse. It may make it better in the moment, but you don't know how bad your mental health gets until it's too late and you're like, okay, why am I thinking about this all the time? Why am I dreaming about this? Why am I having nightmares? Yeah, but yeah, just I think having the balance, having friends who come from a different background and having friends who come from the same background as you just creates that balance. But when you only have friends that come from the same background, like I do, yeah, most of my friends come from Africa, and most countries in Africa is going through it. So either whether they're from Nigeria or Ghana or they're from South Africa, everybody has a story to tell. So you can't really escape it. It's almost like a reality now. We're just like, you know what? Yeah, that's our story.
Yeah, and I think and you mentioned like the mental effect it can have too. Like that's something people don't always think about. Like they see the violence and stuff, but like the also the effect on mental health that can have too. And I think you did a poem that I saw on your Instagram about like men's mental health specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, what can you say about that? Because like that's something I've talked a bit about like mental health on the show and stuff. So that might
Hmm.
be you can say more about that.
Yes. Yeah, so I can just start with the poem. So I wrote that poem for men because most men are not talked about. Even during even during this whole crisis, you don't hear stories for men. You don't hear anyone talking about, oh, the men in Congo are suffering. It's almost like we've all collectively just erased the men. So, and the men in Congo, I love to believe that, I like to say, sorry, that the men in Congo are never given a chance at life. Once they
Hmm.
capture you, it's like they're sending you to the grave right away. And the ones who survive, they deal with a lot of guilt, but they deal with it in silence. So the men in Congo are going through a silent genocide. I actually wrote a poem about talking more about this, like what happens to the men. I'm actually going to release it today after this. Yeah, so the men in Congo to go through this silent genocide and no one talks about it. No one seems to care. And I also fell into that trap until one of my male friends was like, how come you're only talking about women and children? Where are the men? Then I was like, oh, hold on. Yeah, where are the men? And I was surprised as a Congolese because for so many years I wasn't hearing from the men. So I was like, okay, I need to listen to the men. I need to hear what they have to say. And sadly, there's not a lot. Like not a lot of interviews, not a lot of coverage. So I wrote that poem. I'm just like, men are only people, society just want men to provide, protect, and profess. And when men can't do that, like men in Congo can't provide, they can't protect, or they can't even profess, they can't lead. So when they can't do that, it's almost like society disregards them and just say, okay, you're not human enough or you're not man enough. So stay in the background, stay in the shadow. We're going to pay attention to the others, like the children and the women. Yes, the women and the children go through a lot, but the men also go through a lot. And it's so brutal. Like just the few stories I've heard from men and the few stories that I'm actually working on, and especially the one that I'm going to release today, men are going through the worst. It's like the worst silent genocide out there, and I feel so sad, especially for the men in Congo because they don't even get the chance to go to get into the camps. Most of them, it's like they're tortured and they're killed, but they're killed in the most brutal, inhumane way. Like so brutal. They have to just die. It's like they watch themselves die and they know that they
Mm.
can't escape. And most men, what they do now in Congo is that when the M23 or another armed group comes in, what most men would do is they will run, they will flee and leave their families because they know that their children and wives have a higher chance of surviving and getting into the camps than they do. So what most men would do is run. But the few that have run into these camps, now it's like, oh, the wives and children didn't survive. So now they're dealing with this. So some will commit suicide. Some will feel the guilt and say, okay, you know what, I couldn't even protect my own family. So what am I here for? And
Mm.
it's a lot. No, and no one talks about it. No one pays attention to it. So yeah, I decided to write that poem. I was like, let me raise the awareness. It's Men Mental Health Month. Even June is Men Mental Health Month, and we're not even talking about it. We're just so focused on other stuff.
Mm. Yeah, because I hear that a lot
Mhm.
on the news. They always say like when there's a war or anything like that going on, they say this amount of women and children die, but they don't mention the men
Yeah,
in the same. You know, because like those could be civilians too. Like it's yeah, it's just so I know you. That's interesting. Um, so what? Um, don't worry, I can I edit this
okay,
so
okay.
yeah. Um, this one. So what role can the international community play in this and like in I guess making a change in as far as this goes?
Yeah, what the international community can do, first of all, back off from Congo, please. Because we're tired. We are so, so tired. Many of us are tired of telling stories of war. We want to tell a different story. We want to tell a different tale. So backing off will be like the best. If everybody could just back off from Congo, let us build a country. Let us provide our children access to a future because most of them are under the age of 15, and it's so sad that most of them can't even celebrate their sweet 16 or even graduate high school, even graduate university. So backing off will be like the most effective thing. And another thing is awareness. I feel like once a lot of people start talking about Congo, there would definitely there will be a lot of pressure put on these companies, and they will have to find ways to back off from Congo. Like Apple right now is using recycled. They said that they started using recycled cobalt for most of the devices, which is a great move because that now means that less, maybe if 100 children were working for in the mines to like provide the covers to Apple, maybe now it would just be like 20. There's still children in there, but it's like so many other lives that's been saved, and so many other children can go to school or can look for other opportunities. So that's like one thing. A lot of, like the international voice, it's getting there. It's not loud yet, but it's getting there, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of everyone's speaking up. And I'm even proud to be here because this is a way to raise awareness
Nice.
as well. Just giving Congolese people the opportunity to tell their story and to tell you what's happening. You hear it from the mouth of survivors. It's not just someone from the sideline. This is someone saying, no, I have 3 generations or 4 generations of families that have experienced this. And this is what it's doing to all of us. When people hear these stories, it raises awareness, and a lot of people tend to act, right? So some people will join the protest, some people will join the boycott. Like there's a boycott going on. We're trying to encourage people to not buy any new gadgets, any new devices. If you want a new phone, just get a used one. So that way it's already used cobalt. So no need for new cobalt. We're trying to tell people stay away from most of these cars. Let's say Tesla, because Tesla is the one that uses the most cobalt. So like we try to tell people, hey, is it really mandatory for you to get that Tesla when you can get another car that doesn't use like as much cobalt? At least it's not from Congo, it's not exploded, or maybe they got it the right way. Like so we're trying to offer all these solutions, and yeah, people can join the boycotts. But the most important one, what international um people internationally can do for us is donations. Oh my, a lot of people, you survive the crisis, you flee into the camps only to die of starvation and waterborne sicknesses and lack of medical care. So we need people to please, please donate. Like donations is the biggest one because we need to keep a lot of the children in the camps alive. And most of them will go back into the villages. They'll put themselves back into danger just to look for food. And sadly, it's a lot of young girls under the age of 10. They don't know any better. They'll go back into these woods and then they'll get raped again, or sometimes they'll not even come back into the camps. It's all because of food. It's all in search of food. So like the poem that I wrote, like We Are the Children of East Congo, it talks a little bit about that. Like the children search for food everywhere. They go to the woods, they go into the mountaintop, they search everywhere for food. And starvation is the hard, like it's easier to flee from war than it is to flee from starvation, because starvation is from within and it kills you from the inside. So yeah, the donations provide gives the children access to food, water, drinkable water, and shelter. The donations really, really help a lot. And yeah, we want people to continue talking about Congo. Like, please do not forget, because Congo has been silent. The genocide in Congo has been silent for so many years. It's only recently that people are hearing about it. So we want everyone to keep talking about it, to keep talking about Congo, to keep interacting. I know the content from Congo, the stories can be quite a lot to digest, but we have to think about these children. They don't have the privilege to get a trigger warning. That's why I don't put the trigger warnings on my poems. I know I'm always like, oh, maybe I should do it, but then I'm like, no, but these children, they don't get, nothing is censored. There's no trigger warning like, hey, I'm about to murder your parents in front of you. Close your eyes. No, nothing. It just happens, and many of the kids will tell you, like, I saw my mother's head or my father's head on the floor. I saw my mother's arm. Like, some of these children try to reattach their parents' heads
Yeah.
because they're so young, they cannot comprehend it that the parents are gone. They think, oh, maybe the head just fell off, like it will fall off a Barbie doll or something. Let me try to reattach it. It's so brutal. So they don't get that. So yeah, like people keep talking about Congo. Please, please, please keep raising awareness and keep donating, because we really the children rely on the donations. And that's like the best way we can help them right now, because most of us can't even stop the war. And I don't know how long it's going to take before it stops. But in the meantime, we're trying to keep people alive. We're trying to keep them alive by providing them food, water, shelter.
And I think that was a good point you made, that like you weren't sure whether to put it out there because people might not want to see it, but then the children that are affected by it, they have no choice
That's right.
but to see it or deal with it.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
no
and has
choice.
this? Oh, if you were going to say more,
Oh,
or
no, 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 no. I just wanted to say, yeah, they have no choice when it comes to that. Yeah.
yeah, and it has your experiences, I guess, in a way, it helped you also maybe appreciate certain things more that other people take for granted too. Would you say?
Yes, yes, yes. Something as painful as when I was younger in the refugee camp, I used to dream of one day going to school with a backpack. I know for most
Hmm.
people it's like a backpack. That is so simple. No, but the thing is, when I had the opportunity like to go to school, I used to put my books, my pencils, everything in a plastic bag, and go to school. You go to school without lunch. You go to school without anything. So you go there and then you come back and you know that you have to go in the market and sell something so that you guys can get the food, right? So yeah, like when I was younger, I used to dream like when my family would tell me that we'll go to Canada because we're waiting to come to Canada. So we had to go through the refugee camp. I always dreamed of, oh my goodness, when I go to Canada, I'm going to have as many backpacks as I want, as many as possible. And I used to just love backpacks. And I know for most kids here, they're like a backpack. But that was something for me that was just so, so major. You just don't know how, like, the things that you take for granted, things like toothbrush, right? Like, we didn't used to
Yeah.
have toothbrush. We used to use trees to brush our
Hmm.
teeth. Like, things like that. It's like those are things that most people don't think about it on a daily basis. But just having that, having access to food 24/7, just opening your fridge, grabbing something, having access to water that you don't have to go to the river to fetch, or like that is it's a lot, like just having a sink that you can open like anytime you want. That is a privilege most people don't even think about. And it's so
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it just amazes me because on this side of the world, most it's a lot of consuming, right? Consumerism. It's a lot of, oh, I see my friend has the latest Gucci belt. I want that. I see my friend has the latest this, the latest iPhone, or the latest car, or the latest gadget, whatever it is. But and then it's like people forget about the privileges like water, food, shelter, just having a place you can call home, having AC, having electricity, having running water, even having a toilet inside your home. That is
Yeah.
such a privilege because in these refugee camps, nothing like that. There's no AC. In that heat in Congo, it's like you're dealing with that. You're sweating. There's no like toilets inside. You have no shower with a bathroom. You have to go get water. You have to shower outside. You don't even have a sink to wash your dishes in. You don't have any, like most of the things that we don't think about. It's like you don't have them. And most of these children dream of having that. Most of them dream of just having a fridge, or if you're like me, a backpack or a
Yeah.
toothbrush. Those simple stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. And I guess maybe when people like in Canada or whatever that you encounter that are worried about like more minor things that must seem kind of, I guess, strange to you or whatever. Maybe that people would worry about such minor
Yeah.
things like.
I tend to say privilege, like privilege is good, but I feel like too much of it tends to weaken people, in terms of, okay, what can we do to like better the world? Because when you have too much privilege, then all of a sudden you live in a world of your own. You just assume that, oh, everyone else has the same thing. So you don't tend to like explore, look out, and relate with other people. It's almost like, oh, you live on Earth and then the other people live on another planet or something. So I tend to say like too much privilege tends to create a lot of like idle minds where now people have too much time on their hands to go do like the most unthinkables. Like let's say the one thing like school shootings in the US. That is something that just I can't wrap my mind around it because I'm just like, what will lead someone to say, hey, I'm gonna go to this school? Because a lot of the children where I come from, they respect teachers, they respect schools, they want to go to school. To go to school is a privilege. Like not all of them gets the chance to go to school. So you see these children, they have access to education, and some of them will just, I know it has a lot to play with like mental health, but just come one day and just shoot up the school. How? Or
Hmm.
even just skipping classes. Why?
Yeah.
It's those things, but most of it is just privilege. When you have it, you think it's just normal, but it's not normal. When people travel outside the country, that's why people who travel a lot tend to appreciate life even more. They have that
Yeah.
gratefulness in them because they've seen all sides of life. But people who've just been born here from day one, they had access to everything. Oh, like a lot of things tend to be taken for granted.
Hmm. it seems like it also kind of gave you like a stronger like work ethic too, like more motivation too,
Yeah.
in some ways. It's from what I gather. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, most of us still take care of family back home. So, yes, we have to work. We have to hustle. Yeah, so when you go to work, you get your paycheck, you're not thinking, the first thing you're not thinking about is, oh, where am I going to spend it? Like, what latest thing can I buy? You're thinking about, okay, what family can I help? Because a lot of family depend on you financially, because there's not a lot of opportunities in Congo. Like, yes, you get to go, some people get to go to school, you graduate, there's no job because employment is so low, so you still have a lot of families. You have to send your cousins or your siblings to school. You have to take care of your parents. So there's a lot like and most of it, it's like you have to hustle. And once they know that you made it somewhere like Canada, and let's not even say Canada is too far, but somewhere like Zambia is so close to Congo on the map. And
Hmm.
if you leave Congo and make it to Zambia, people think you've made it into heaven, and your family start depending on you financially from there on, because Congo, it's so poor, and people have just been are going through a lot. So there's not a lot of opportunities, no food, not a lot of access to drinkable water. So yeah, like now when you make it somewhere like Canada, it's like no, they expect you to like build them a house, buy them a car. Now they want to live the life that they see on social media and movies. They want to live the American dream, but the American dream for most immigrants, it takes time. Or even for natives, it takes time like to, you know, for you to get into that level, but your family members do not understand that. The moment you land, they think it's like you have all this money, because for so long, social media, the propaganda has always been like, oh, come to Canada. It's like all these things are available to you. You have kids, a lot of money are available to you. So people have a lot of misconceptions about like Canada, the US. They think once you come here, it's like a lot of money, but they don't understand the hustle. We have to hustle. We really have to work. Some of us are working like 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, whatever you can get. You have to work. You really have to put in the work. Yeah.
Oh, so they thought like you already like once you came here, they thought that you had already like I guess like made it and
Yes.
everything, and there wasn't like a road to the. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the movies and the media that we have access to in Congo, even when I was younger, whenever we get to like watch movies like in the marketplace, like just like peek in through like a movie theater and then they'll chase us away. But whatever we got to see, it was always like this is a land of honey and milk, right? I like to compare to the Bible story of the Israelites when they were coming from Egypt. And it's like they were going to this land that flows with honey and milk. So that's what Canada is called. Like, yeah, because even Canada, the way it's called in my like native language and the way they describe it as this land that flows with honey and milk. So it's this land of like great opportunities, green pastures. You just come in, you have access to everything you've ever dreamed of. No one thinks about the work. No one thinks about, oh, Canada has like homelessness. When you tell them like, oh, this is also Canada, there's homeless people, individuals experiencing homelessness, they're like, no, you're lying. you know, Nobody knows any of like the other sides. It's all about like the honey and milk. Toronto, like people just see the buildings and they assume that everyone lives in those amazing buildings, work in those. But that's not the truth. I went to Toronto and not everybody works in downtown Toronto. And not the whole Toronto doesn't look like downtown Toronto. There's like the homelessness there too is quite high as well. You see them everywhere. It's like you come from your hotel, you walk across the street, it's like you see somebody with a tent or you see someone sitting there. But that is not shown to the rest of the world, especially in Africa. It's really not seen. So a lot of like the people that we live back, it's like they have this expectation that once you come here, it's like, woo, you get everything if you ever dreamed of. It's like the answer to your prayers, your dreams coming true, but you have to hustle. So they don't see that, they don't really see it.
Yeah, because I guess like here we kind of people like to look away from the problems that are here as long as it doesn't affect them. And I also noticed like people will blame like a homeless person, like, oh, he must have been lazy, he didn't get a job. But it's like you don't know what their life is or what
That's
their
right.
situation was. Like if people are easy to just judge that without have putting themselves in the person's shoes or knowing what led to that.
Yeah,
So
I feel like what the Western world, when I say West, I say US, even Europe, US, UK, Canada has done for so many years, the propaganda, the media propaganda has been to um, showcase the countries as a country that doesn't deal with sicknesses, homelessness, or mental
mm,
health or anything. It's only recently that now other people from, like, let's say Africa, just like to talk about Africa because I have more experience there than the other parts of the world. But like it's only recently that through social media that most of us even in Africa, like some of my cousins will be like, wow, I saw this the school shooting, I heard about it in the US. Like, how is that even normal? They're surprised because for so long you were told that this land, it's like people live a long life. You're not
yeah,
told about mental health. You're not told about, oh, there are people that actually are living in poverty in these countries, because the way the media, the propaganda has been done for so many years is to show that these lands, it's like they don't deal with poverty, they don't deal with any sickness, they don't deal with like homelessness, they don't deal with this. So to humanize people in the West is almost like a strange concept to most people still back in Africa, because most people, that's why you see as a tourist, you go to, let's say to Congo or to Zambia, it's like they will increase the price on the local goods, right? Because for so
mhm,
long, you haven't been humanized as humans with struggles or humans with anything. It has always been like humans who are privileged, who has access to all the money in the world, right? So when you travel to like Africa as a tourist, it's like the price is three times or sometimes even 10 times what the local will pay, right? So yeah, it's just that. And it has done so much damage than good, because a lot of tourists are affected too. Because
mm,
paying double or triple or 10 times the price, that's not funny. That's not fun and it's not good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you said also made me think, because like it was interesting hearing that perspective, like how people only see like the good in the U.S. and they
Hmm.
have that, because like I was also thinking like in here, like for a while before social media, like people always, like there was a narrative that the U.S. is always the good guys,
Mm.
with
Yeah.
the foreign policy and stuff, and like we didn't always see what we were doing. So like not every a person who lived here always saw what was happening, like what the U.S. government was doing to like other countries abroad.
Mm.
And then with like social media and like internet and everything, it was more that info was getting out to more people. So like now people have a more nuanced, well, at least some people have a more nuanced understanding of like the world, rather than just like that, that good guy, bad guy
Yes.
thing that they did before because of the propaganda and the movies and everything.
Yeah.
It just made me think of
Social media has done a great job at humanizing every human, because now even some people in Africa will say, you know what, I can relate to this American story. I can relate to the struggle. I can relate to this. But there's still a lot of work in that area, but social media has just created a fair ground for all of us to compete. So on social media, there are no class. It's not like, oh, if I make a certain amount of dollar or euros, then I will only get access to this type of social media accounts. Anybody can get on Twitter. Anyone can get on Instagram. Even if you don't have food in your house, you can still be on Instagram as long as you get access to the internet and it's like you have an account. So that's what social media has done. I feel like social media has some way, somehow united the world
that.
and
Yeah.
expose the things that were not talked about before. Because again, some people still think Africa is a country, but what social media is now doing is educating people and saying, no, this is a continent that has 54 countries and only 53 are recognized, but that's a different
Yeah.
story. But it's like more people are now saying, okay, you're from South Africa, you're from Ghana, you're from Nigeria, you're from Burkina Faso. Social media, even with what's happening in Burkina Faso, it's like it's all through social media that people are becoming aware of it. People are like, okay, the people of Burkina Faso, they had a coup. The people of Burkina Faso, this is what's happening. So no one is waiting to hear from the BBC. No one is no longer waiting to hear
Yeah.
from the Guardian or the New York Times to tell them about what's happening in Africa. Now people can read it themselves, they can watch the videos, they can listen to the real stories. And when it happens, the people with access to social media or phones, they can just take a video and upload it, and millions of people will see it right away. before even BBC gets to like publish the story. So by the time they publish, you're like, yeah, we moved on, or that's a lie. You even start correcting them. And that actually happened with, sorry, it happened with the recent bombing in Congo, in East Congo, because there was a bombing on May 3rd. And mainstream media didn't report it for like a couple days. But the people that were on the ground, even
Hmm.
people from Focus Congo and other organizations, they were able to get those stories out. So by the time the mainstream media reported, people already knew everything, all the facts, how many people, like what's happening. So, and then mainstream media tried to minimize, like, the bombing that happened, minimize the
Was
people's
that from
death.
the M23 or which one are you talking about?
Sorry.
Was that the M23 group you mentioned that
Um,
did the bomb?
so May 3rd, like last month on May 3rd, we don't actually know who bombed it. They're saying perhaps it's them because there's so many groups now, right? It's almost like different groups
Are they
are
all
being,
kind of fighting for power
they're
or like
all,
for
yeah,
power?
power and control. Yes, it's all power. It's like whichever group sees a place, then whoever's founding them can occupy that space, right? So it's all for power. So it's multiple groups right now. The most famous one is like the M23 that most people know about, but it's like a lot of armed groups now. So that one, they don't really know. They've just been pointing fingers on who bombed it, but they haven't confirmed if it's M23 or if it's anyone else, or maybe it's the Congolese soldiers that are in the east fighting, trying to defend the people. They don't know. So yeah, like it's things like that. But with social media, a lot of people become aware of things like that, what they happen, and we get access to the stories, we get access to the pictures, the videos. So before mainstream media even reports on it, it's like we already know the facts in and out, and we can even start correcting them when they make a mistake. We're like, no, 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 it didn't happen like that. So that's like the beauty of social media. Social media has done wonderful, like in reuniting the whole world and just humanizing all of us, because for so long we were not humanized. It was like
No.
people in Africa, they're not humans. It's these people that need civilization. It's these people that we need to train and teach. It's like, oh, the words are so backward. They're savages. That was the narrative for so many
And
years.
then the movies would show like stereotypes too, like the
Hmm.
movies, like you mentioned the movies before too.
Yeah. But social media is like humanize all of us. Even people in the West, they've been humanized, you know? Because for so long, too, we thought people in the West were not humans, were just these people that had like access to everything. They were never sad. They were never going through a hard time, you know? So when you see, like, let's say when I was younger, like you will see, like, let's say a white person come to the camps, or you will see them riding on the bike. All these kids will chase after them because you're like, oh my gosh, this person came from heaven, you know. It's like you want to take photos with them, you want to dance, you want to do things for them, because for so long you just think it's like, wow, they lived in heaven, oh my goodness, they came down to earth to us in Africa. It's amazing how propaganda can really affect people.
Yeah, and you said that like, and then people just kind of used to think Africa was just a country, but there's like each country's like a very different culture, and like even within the Congo, right? There's different tribes, right? And is that part of what's going on now? Is it like related to the different tribes too? Or
Mm. So what's happening in the east, yes, the undertone of it as well. Like, let's, if we talk about like 1994, like the Rwanda genocide, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so a lot of it too was the Tutsis and the Hutus. It was a lot of fighting because they want to prove, oh, I'm Congolese. No, you're not Congolese. I'm Congolese. You're not So they're fighting over land, and they're also fighting about, okay, are you Congolese enough? And they all speak in Rwanda, which is so amazing, like our language in Rwanda, but they all claim to be Congolese, right? So it's been a fight between those two groups talking about, oh, I'm this, I'm that. And then I feel like because of that, it opened the window for other armed groups to come in and start fighting for resources. But
mm,
what the people will claim, the armed groups will claim, they'll be like, no, we're fighting for this group. We're fighting for our land. We're fighting for our rights to freedom. But they're killing everyone, even their own people. It's like,
mm,
how are you fighting for your land and your right to
yeah,
freedom and right to life, but you're killing your brothers, you're killing your neighbors? How? The people from your own
mm,
tribe. So that too, it's like that plays a role as well in like what's happening in Congo. Like the Rwanda
mm,
genocide also played like a major role in it as well. And the current beef going on, like between Rwanda and Congo, the finger pointing, the blame game, all of it plays a role, and it continues to play a role until these two countries can come to like an agreement and actually say, hey, what we're doing is affecting people, because most of them live in their mansions. They
Hmm.
travel in like private jets. They're not out there experiencing what we're experiencing. Their children don't have these stories that we have.
Yeah.
The children have like see Congo in a different light or Rwanda in a different light. But these people come and fight these innocent poor people. It doesn't even matter your tribe. I know there's so many tribes in Congo, but just killing humans, innocent humans, is just not good. No, there's no justification. Whether they're from your tribe or not your tribe, there's no justification for it. That's just yeah.
So there's like a small amount that are wealthy, and then the rest are poor. Is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, most people in Congo are poor. Yeah, most people are poor. It's only a small amount of people that are wealthy, and those that are wealthy, again, it's like it goes back again to colonization. We were put against one another. It was, oh,
Hmm.
you look this way, so you're gonna be ahead over this person. So we were put against each other, right? So now the wealthy people play that role as well. Once they become wealthy, they go live in Kinshasa, or they go live in Lubumbashi, like the rich area, or even in Goma. There are wealthy people in Goma, and this conflict that's taking place is in East Congo, and it's so close to Goma, so close. You can walk outside of your home in Goma, just like walk across the streets, and you will see tents everywhere. But it's
Hmm.
like you live in this big mansion. So the wealthy people, what they've done is they've distanced themselves from the rest of the Congolese and the rest of the struggle. Because when you experience struggle for so long and you get that small taste of power, most times you become the oppressor too. It's like somebody who got bullied, and then once they get in a position of power, they tend to bully other people, right? So that's what's happening with the wealthy people. It's only a small amount of them that are helping. The majority of the wealthy people are not. They don't even want to talk about it. They do not want to see it on the screens. They don't even want to go to the backyard to look at the tents. They just want to act like they live in a different world, different planets. They want to compete with the people in the West, right? It has always been, oh,
Hmm.
you're good enough if you live in the West, or if you can look like them, or if you can compete with them, financially, even beauty standards, so many things, even languages, because you will see a lot of Congolese that become wealthy, all of a sudden they get rid of their native languages. They'll start learning English and French, and they only speak English and French. So it's just a
Hmm.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Are some people? I mean, I know you mentioned like the wealthiest are like behind the different militant groups, but are some people who join those groups, or does desperation like drive them to that path sometimes?
Yes. Oh, definitely. That's like a major role as well, because they've been like all the international companies and countries that are involved in Congo. They've been so smart in a way that they pay Congolese to kill Congolese, right?
Hmm.
So because there's so many people that are desperate for money, so they pay them. They say, "Hey, we're gonna give you and your family this amazing life. All you have to do is go in this village and kill this many people, displace them, have us have access to this land, and you will be rich for life, or you will be rich for many months, right?" And most of them are people that look like me. Most of them are people that speak my language, have the same names, because our names, like, they have a lot of like meaning behind them. So you will see someone with the same name as you killing you, speaking the same
Hmm.
language. So it's not like they speak French to you or English or a foreign language. No, they speak to you in your native language. And like some of these, like because they were boys that you grew up with who got recruited into child soldier, now they are
Hmm.
turned against you. So they'll come back and kill you, which is so sad. Yeah, so they pay people that look like us to kill us, right? Which is like was a smart move on their own, because now the international community or the international countries and organizations can just say, well, you look at the photos, you don't see anyone that looks like us. You don't see anyone Western speaking any like Western languages like English, French, or European, like anything like that. You don't see them. You see their own people killing them. So it's a fight among themselves, right? So for so long, it's just been painted as like a fight among Congolese people. So And then the world is like, well, since it's among themselves, then let them deal with it. The world basically just turned their back on us. It's now recently that we're saying, hey, it's not just a fight among ourselves. It's like more people are
Mm.
involved in this. It's deeper than what you see. It's just deeper than, oh, they speak the same language as me, they're killing me, or they look like me and they're killing me. It's like these people are paid, and because they're so desperate, they're so desperate. Poverty can make
Mm.
people do a lot of things. Starvation, poverty can make people even kill their own parents, can make people just do all sorts of stuff because we all want to survive, as humans. So, yeah, a lot of these people are desperate because they're poor, right? And when you've experienced poverty, you don't want to go back into that. So, when somebody offers you something like an opportunity and say, hey, I'm going to give you access to this beautiful life, you and your family can travel out of Congo, but all you have to do is do this, well, you're going to do it because you're desperate, right? So most of them are there just doing it for the sake of the money. And they know it's wrong, but they just do it for the sake of the money. And some of them, they maybe do it for the sake of, oh, my parents were killed too, so now I'm gonna kill other people. Yeah.
Mm. And then people and then they exploit that suffering. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so do you have hope for the future that things can change or
Yes. Yes, I do have hope. The 30 day has restored my hope in like a better Congo actually because like during this 30-day campaign, I am talking to a lot of young people. My goodness, so many young people are rising up and just talking about this. So many young people are taking action. Like you're going to the camps, the displacement camp, and you will see it a lot of young people from rich backgrounds. These are children in Congo, like Congolese themselves, or maybe internationally. They had everything given to them. And you will see some of them say, what's the point of me having food when the kid across the street doesn't have food? So these young
mm,
people will actually go in the camps, they will volunteer, they will help. Like medical students are leaving schools in like Goma and all these other places in Congo, even abroad, even internationally. They go into these camps and saying, hey, I'm going to treat you because no child deserves to die when we can save them. If it's something that we can do, we can definitely do it. It's so beautiful, my goodness. It's something that touches my heart every single day. And the people that reach out, a lot of the young people, they're just like, I was ashamed to talk about this, but through your poetry, now I can talk about it. Or this and this, now I'm going to volunteer. It's just amazing. So through that, I feel like there is a future. There's definitely a future for Congo because most of us are saying what our parents couldn't talk about, what our parents couldn't say, what our parents couldn't do. We're going to do it. We're going to say it. And most of us have already made up our minds and say, hey, we're going to die for this. Like, be it, if it's death, then it's going to be death. But we're going to speak out. We're going to speak up. We're going to stand with the people. Yeah, it's incredible. And through that, yeah, we definitely have a future. And I have a lot of hope because, yeah, we are the leaders of tomorrow. The leaders of today. Gen Alpha is the leader of tomorrow, but Gen Z is the leaders of today because, yeah, we have to stand up. And a lot of Gen Zs, I have them, Gen Zs from UK, from Canada, from the US, from Germany, everywhere. They're just like,
mm,
I'm going to create a fundraiser too. I'm going to raise awareness. I'm going to tell my friends, I'm going to organize a protest or a rally. Oh, it's just incredible. Oh, I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to do this. I can teach. I can do this. I have this skill. I want to teach it to the women or the men, the boys. It's incredible. With that, all of us, like internationally, like Congo is gonna change because a lot of the young people internationally all over the world are fed up, and they've all come to the conclusion that we're gonna have to stand up for Congo and we're gonna do whatever we have to do. So yeah, it's not just gonna be a fight for Congo only by Congolese. Now it's gonna be like a global fight for Congo, which is wonderful. So, so wonderful. I am so, so glad. I hope it happens in my lifetime. I'm still alive when it
mm.
happens. But no, I look forward to it. Like, it's something that keeps me going every day. It's just those young people, the spirits. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's interesting how like through everything going on, you've seen kind of like the worst of humanity, but also like the best and like the goodness too. Like it comes at like when there's situations like that, sometimes the worst in humanity comes out, and then the best too, like the giving side and the caring side comes out too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that balance. I think that goes back to the balance we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Like you see the worst and then you see the best. Because how long can you dwell in the worst, you know? Like it's been happening for so many years. So when you see people standing, it's almost like fresh air, right? Like you've been in the house for so long, you just open your door and you're like, oh my goodness, so beautiful outside. You know, in Canada with the cold winter, when you see spring, you see the sun, you're like, yes, yes, yes. So that's what it feels like. It just, you know, it's just fresh air. It's something beautiful and it's so amazing. I even wrote a poem about it. I was like, we are the generation. I think that's like the title of it. We are the generation. And it just talks about these things. Like we are the generation that says enough is enough. We are the generation that says if one of us is suffering, then we will all be suffering because, you know, we want everyone to be good. Like most people call Gen Zs sensitive, but yes, we are sensitive because we have a big heart, you know? We care about everyone and we want to change. And the millennials, everybody, all the generations that are coming together to just help, it's so wonderful. Like I am so so proud of all of them. And I would like to like continue to encourage everyone, like please continue to stand for Congo. We want more young people talking about Congo because young people are the futures of today and the futures of tomorrow. So the more young people stand on business for Congo, the more it's going to change Congo because young people are putting a lot of pressure. Young people are saying we're not going to buy iPhones if Apple continues. And then next thing you know, Apple's talking about recycled cobalt. Like that was so fast. You know, for many years we were complaining like Apple is doing this and they were denying it. All of a sudden when the young people are saying, hey, you know what? I can't defeat you because I don't even have a gun. I can't fight you. But what I can do is I can affect your pocket. I'm going to boycott you. I'm going to make sure that I don't give you my money because I'm not going to spend my money and I don't want my money to go towards a genocide. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
these companies are looking for other solutions. They're looking for other ways to make these things right. And it's through this, when we take actions like this, all of us collectively, yeah, it leads to a better tomorrow for Congo.
Yeah. When I get and I guess sometimes it's hard though because like everything around you is like there's like so many chain. Everything is like a chain. Like it's like there's. I mean, it's good. It's nice. It's like in my neighborhood, like there's some like small businesses and stuff. It's like there's like this chain, and then like with the different chains, like there's always like some kind of. I mean, even if it's not supporting that, there's always like another bad thing. It's like supporting. It's like sometimes it's hard to avoid it with just like all these chains here. But like if you but of course then you can like look into it and still like not support that too. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, everything is so connected. I mean, if we boycott everything, we will not have food. Some of our favorite superstores, you know, they're involved maybe like in other areas in the world, you know. So when we, yeah, like it is a thin line, definitely, like especially with boycotting because we've come accustomed to having these things, you know. So when we say, hey, maybe don't buy a new iPhone, and for so long, a lot of young people bought new iPhones, waited for like the new releases, you know, because it was a way of like being cool. I don't know, maybe the young people in my circle, it's like, I want a new iPhone because I want to be cool. So when we tell these young people who are barely 25 or maybe barely 15, we tell them, hey, maybe that new iPhone is not the way. You know, it does like, it plays a role and it just, you know, but it's sacrifices that we're all making. You know, we've come to realize that there are people like Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso. He made a sacrifice. I mean, lost, even ended up losing his life, right? For Burkina, people like Patrice Lumumba ended up losing his life for Congo, but because of the sacrifices, it's like now Congo is independent. Congo has its independence because who knows the way, like everything that has happened to Congo. I doubt if Lumumba and all the other people didn't stand up for Congo, I doubt that Congo will have its independence. I feel like Congo will still be under colonization, under
Hmm.
King Leopold's rule to this day, because under Belgium's rule, I mean, King Leopold is gone, is late. But yeah, like if Lumumba didn't stand up, then Congo will not have its independence. So the young people that are making sacrifices right now, yes, it's hard. It is hard. Like it's not easy. It's not easy to say I'm not going to buy the latest Tesla. Even myself, when Tesla first started, I was so excited to drive a Tesla. I was looking forward to it. But one day I had to say, hey, maybe that dream will never come true unless something changes. So yeah, it's the sacrifices, it's small sacrifices we have to make. I know it's hard, but it's worth it. It's for the better.
That's another thing. When you just said maybe they'll change, then then that kind of motivates. Then they're like, well, if people aren't going to support us if we do this, then maybe we'll stop doing this because
Yes,
even if they don't like care about humanity, sadly,
the money.
they'll care about not making their profits or their
Hmm.
money.
Yeah, if the money, power, and control is at the root of it, then if people take away the money, then what's the point? Why are we there? Like you're just gonna have all those minerals for nothing? Like
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah. So even people are not buying diamonds. Like a lot of girls are saying, we're not gonna get gold. We're not going to get diamonds because we don't want anything like any blood on our hands. So even engagement rings, people are looking for other options. The women are looking for other options. So it's a lot of companies that are like, okay, we have to look for ways. That's why companies, like most companies, have started now disclosing that, hey, this diamond or this gold is not from Africa. Because they know they have to disclose that because they know that most people not buy if they know that it's from Africa because they know that children, like some kids died, lost their life. Like children
Hmm.
are into mining in Africa, so they're like, mm-mm. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that could kind of like instead of exploiting people, like they could just use that to like create more jobs like here and do it in like a more ethical way too.
That's
Like if they
right.
wanted to,
That's
yeah,
what we're asking for, honestly. Like, we're not telling these companies like, hey, you can't you can't be like you can't own a Tesla or you can't own an iPhone. We're just saying, hey, pay the people what they're worth and do it the right way. You don't have to kill us to get our resources. Partner with us, work with us, hire the people who are at the age of working. They can work. Give them what they need to work in the mines because they're exposed to all this stuff. It affects their health, right? Like provide them with like the proper equipment, provide them with the proper things. And you can go on and have as many Tesla cars as you want or iPhones, but what the companies are refusing to do is acknowledge the people that are working for them as humans, right? And so they recruit a lot of kids. We're saying
yeah,
no to our children working in the mines. We're saying our children deserve to be in school. They have to be in school. They cannot be in the mines. They are exposed to these things. It's like it affects them so much health wise, in every other like mental capacity. So we're just telling them, partner with us, work with us, just like most companies work with each other in the US, in the UK, partner with us. We're not saying because what's the point of having minerals if humans can't even use them? We're not saying like, hey, leave the minerals to just stay on the ground. Like nobody should dig them up. No one should use them. No, we need to use them, right? It's like it's a beautiful thing that God has blessed us with, on earth. It's the minerals. We have to use them, but let's use them the right way. You don't have to exploit
yeah,
people. You don't have to kill people just to use the minerals. Minerals are minerals.
yeah.
Humans are humans. Yeah,
And in fact, they could have improved the Congo to get they could have like created more jobs or like more people working
that's
for them
right.
there, and like they could have improved the lives of people there and got their minerals too. So I mean that could have been the choice they made too, but
Yeah,
they didn't. So
definitely. But they decided, the best way. Again, it's all about cutting costs, right? Cutting corners. It's like, oh, what would happen if we remove all these people from this land? But and then in my culture, in the Congolese cultures and the tribes, we're so attached to our land as well, right? Our land has a lot of meaning. So when you tell us to move from our lands, move like into like other places just because you found minerals on that land, it's like that's you telling us like leave all your identities. You're basically taking everything away from us because our ancestors and like our ancestors, most of them lived on that land. Most of them died on that land. Like there's even accustomed to like bury your family members like close to the land, right? So when you say leave, we want to take this, we want to use it for like this project that we have. again, it affects people, right? It cuts them off from like what they've known for generations and generations. So, it's a lot to like consider in this whole like mineral thing. And I feel like what they've decided, international companies and um, politicians that are involved, even the local ones actually, because everyone is playing a role in it. What they've decided is, hey, let's force these people out of their land and we're going to kill them and do the worst that we can do to them so that they'll never come back. But it's not working because people are coming back. And these people are fighting and they're saying, hey, yes, you're killing us, but no, this is my grandmother's land. This is my grandfather's land. I'm fighting for it. My grandfather died for this. I'm dying for it too. So there's that going on. People will still go back. It's like once things settle, they go back and then it starts again. It's settled. It's yeah, it's a lot.
And what was your tribe? I think you might have mentioned.
Oh yeah, I'm from Kasai. So there's two Kasais, but usually all of us, it's like two Kasais, but we're all the same. It's just Kasai. So my tribe will be Baluba. So those are the people from the Kasai area. So we are the Balubas. We speak Chiluba. That's like our native language. And then the people in the east, most of them are Bakongo, Baswahili. So they speak Swahili. And people in
Mhm.
Kinshasa, most of them are Bakinois. They speak Lingala. So yeah, all these, yeah, different tribes, different languages, different parts of Congo. Yeah, different.
But
It's
do you speak like the different? Are you able to like communicate with each other as
yeah,
much? Like, do you know the different like?
yeah. I mean, I speak Swahili, which people in the East speak, and even people in Lubumbashi speak Swahili, because people are so mixed now. So, but most of us, you know, for the people that I had the opportunity to go to school, they speak French, and most of us speak Lingala because Lingala is the military language, right? So the soldiers speak Lingala. So if you want like great opportunities, know French and Lingala because if you know Lingala, you can work in Kinshasa. So most people are learning Lingala, and Swahili is becoming so common. So the four top languages in Congo right now is Chiluba, Swahili, Lingala,
Hmm.
and French. Yeah, but there's like 200 or 150 others. So many, so many other languages. But they're all important, but the top four is just those ones because once you know those ones, it's like you can get around Congo very easily.
Yeah, and I know. I guess is there any like positive or like maybe things about like your tradition, like things that are I guess positive that maybe you'd want people to know because we're always like I guess as you were saying before, like there's the horrible things going on that people hear about, but like is there any positive like I guess about like your the Congo or your um like your traditions or anything you'd like to people to know about?
Yeah. Oh, most people, let's say around Africa, and even people who are well traveled, most people know Congo for the dance. We love to dance. We love to like waist dance, like using our waist. That's like one thing that Congo is known for, like by a lot of like countries, and that's something that you can't take away from us. Even in those camps, sometimes I see videos of kids dancing. They're so happy. They have nothing, but
Okay.
they're dancing. It's something in us that even when we're sad, we dance. It's strange. You see someone is going through the worst, but they're dancing. So like dancing in Congo is like dancing and music. It's something that we love so much, and we're so good at it. Like it's almost like in our blood. We're born for it. We're born to do it, and I'm so glad it's something that we have because it's something that unites us. It's something that brings us a lot of joy. Like I said, it's like you'll see people in the camps and they're dancing. These people haven't eaten all day, but they're dancing. They're so happy. They're smiling. Yeah, that has helped a lot with like our traumas and stuff because most of us put it through the dance or through music. Like we love singing, we love dancing, we have cultural like wears like outfits and stuff. We love to celebrate our cultures.
Hmm.
We love to play drums, like by hand. Oh, we just love doing a lot of things like culturally. So the only like bad stuff will be like or the poverty and stuff, but the rest of like the things are so good, like the community, because we believe in it takes a village to raise a child. So,
Yeah.
most of us help. Like teachers at school will discipline you if you misbehave, because teachers, I even have that power like your parents to like correct you, right? So a child is raised by the community, it's not just raised by one family. So everybody takes care of a child. So your parents can be at work or in the farm, and then you misbehave, and your neighbor will beat you to correct you, or your neighbor will yell at you, or your neighbor will say something, just like your parents would do it. So like there's that community. Um, it's like we look after everyone, we look after every child, even though we all come from different tribes. But when it comes to like children unity, events, our dance and everything, it's all the same. There's no difference. There's no, oh, this child is from this tribe, I'm not going to look after them. It's like, no, you beat one child, we're all jumping. We're jumping in. We're all throwing hands. You attack one person, we're all jumping in. And I feel like it's because of that. That's why our people has maintained hope, and they've been so strong throughout this whole thing. It's like the worst is happening to them, but they still maintain that togetherness, that unity. It's like, okay, you do this, then we're going to attack you too. Because now it's like you have people from all over Congo now are going to the east to like volunteer to help because of that. It's like every child is our child. We like to call ourselves like brothers and sisters a lot, and any adults that's old enough to be a parent, you call them by mom, aunt, dad, uncle. So you don't hear a lot of like first
Oh,
name,
that's beautiful.
Michael who's
But,
40. Yeah, you don't hear a lot of that. So we respect a lot of people. We respect everyone. And we love dancing. That's like our best thing. I'm smiling too. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. That like there's still that spirit and like that like still finding, I guess, the light and
Hmm.
in spite of everything that's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, and looking out for each other too. I like that. So,
Hmm.
so I guess to close out, like, what do you have planned for the? Is there anything you have planned for the future? And I guess like where can people follow you? What would you recommend people do if they want to help and everything too?
Okay. So where people can follow me is the Real Tumba. So Tumba is like Ntumba. Tumba, so the Real Tumba on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, which is called X now. On Facebook, it's a different name. It's Melody. It's Yvette Melody, like my other names, because I picked up so many names along the way. You lose your identity. Even your family don't remember your name. They just give you a new name. It's crazy. Yeah, so people like those are my social medias. But if you would like to learn more about like what's happening in Congo and stay in touch on the daily basis, I recommend you follow like Focus Congo. They even have a website, focuscongo.com, and you can donate to the campaign as well. So right now we have a GoFundMe that's running until like June 30th. So technically July 1st because it's 30 days. Yeah, so you can like go donate. That's like the best way to help us right now because we really rely on the donation, and we would love for everyone to please help. So if you have spare cash, or if you like to just help, like donating would be like the best option. And you can donate to Voices for Congo, 30 Days, 30 Hopes on GoFundMe. So we're there. And yeah, and then raising awareness as well. Like we want people to talk more about Congo and what's happening. So it would be really, really nice if people can organize local fundraisers, or people can organize, sorry, local like meetups where they can talk to the friends and families or the community about what's happening in Congo. And we want like we are in need of everything. Like the people in the camp, they're in need of like pads, something as simple as pads, because the ladies, the young girls, the women, they need access to like female hygiene stuff, products. We are in need of like shoes. We are in need of water filters. We're in need of clothes, tents, so many different things. So if you can donate like money wise, you can always send, somebody will come pick it up, depending on where you live, or you can always just send it. like by going on focuscongo.com, you can find all the addresses, but you can send all those things. You can organize a local fundraiser where you just collect shoes or clothes and stuff that you can send. Like we're in need of all that. The children need that, the women, the men, they all need that. So that's like those are the best ways to help. And we are so, so grateful for each donation, each person that gets the time to raise awareness. And I'm so, so glad to even come here today and
Oh
just
yeah,
talk about
it's been
Congo.
great talking to you too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I learned a lot from you, and it's been great to talk to you and all that. So
Yeah.
I wish the best for you and your family too. So
Thank you so, so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I am honored to be here. Thank you for giving us a platform to talk about Congo and to just talk about my own experiences and the experience of others. It's such a pleasure and it's a privilege to be here.
no problem, and I'm honored to have you on the show, and I'll be sure to put the links and everything
Okay.
that you mentioned to the fundraiser, and if there's any other links you want me to put, I can too. But
Yeah, thank you so much.
no problem. And if you want to keep updated with future episodes of Let's Talk About the Deep Stuff, I'm on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, any podcast streaming platform. And that's about it for this episode. I'll catch you on the next one.